In this episode, the one and only Alex Noriega shares his thoughts on the crucial role of curation in elevating photography from good to memorable. The conversation covers selecting and refining images, social media's impact on curation, and balancing personal satisfaction with audience engagement. Alex offers thoughtful insights that'll provide a new perspective on curating your own work. We hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as we enjoyed recording with Alex. After listening, as always, join us on the Shutter Nonsense Patreon page for free post-episode conversations. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
You ready to talk about curation?
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk about curation, so I'm looking forward to see how this episode sort of unfolds.
Oh, great. I was going to rely on you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I thought maybe this would be the episode.
Yeah.
No, the question is who?
Who?
The question is who?
Who is waiting in the lobby? Who could it be but none other than Alex Noriega?
Very cool. Nice. Awesome. Welcome, Alex.
Oh, man. The disappointment is palpable in your voice, Jeffrey.
Oh.
I will say there wasn't quite as much excitement and shock as there was for Matt.
Yeah, like,
That's...
yeah, or Sarah. Yeah,
So I suspected Michael was going to do a special guest this episode just because I'm not a great curator of things, and I knew he didn't want to talk to me about curation, so I'm like, he's going to pull someone else in. So.
I'm always happy to talk to you, Jeffrey. Even
No,
if
I did
usually
not
it's giving
know.
you
So
crap.
you would be someone else, and then I get in here.
I did not know who. Oh, now.
Oh, okay. I guess. I'm just
Man.
kidding.
So Alex actually reached out to me after listening to Sarah's episode, and kudos to him. He made it to the end because that's where I plugged reaching out if somebody wanted to come on and had an idea. So he actually spurred this.
I forgot it was on. I wasn't really listening, but
Well, you know.
I'm just kidding. It was great.
Where's this
He was in the
You guys do a
background.
good
kick
job.
attendee from recording? Where's the... No, anyways, so it was actually Alex's idea to come on and talk about curation. So that's, Jeffrey, that's the real reason I was shuffling episodes around.
So
weeks ago.
now I know why. I was just getting. That's why you were shuffling episodes around was because of the
It's all
special
Alex's
guest.
fault.
That's awesome.
And Alex, I told you I was going to give you crap about it, but there must be something with the name Alex and not wanting to wake up early to get on to record podcasts. Because first, Alex Armitage
Who else?
didn't want to come on. It's not out yet, so you haven't heard it, Alex. But we pulled in Murray Livingston for episode 10. Which, of course, by the time anybody's listening to this, you already know that. But and then, now we get Alex Noriega, and I texted him at like 10:15. Hey, we're still confirmed for today, right? Well, actually, and it's
I
all
was like, do we have to be? Is it all the same to you? Can we just swap? I was up super late, so.
if you had a real
also I'm 2
excuse,
hours
maybe
earlier
I
than
would
you.
have.
Yeah, this is super early.
Yeah, it's 9 a.m., dude.
Well, yeah, I only knew about this. I only knew it was coming for like 2 weeks,
Right,
so
right.
it's not enough time to prepare and just go to bed at a reasonable hour.
And it was your idea, so it's even worse. But anyways, no.
Hey, can I come on? No, never mind.
super excited that you reached out to come on here, and I'm glad I twisted your arm and made you come on this morning because we didn't really have a backup plan if you didn't. So we'll kick it
I really
off.
twisted my arm.
I mentally shot you daggers, for lack of a better.
You told me it'd be terrible if I didn't, so I'm like, okay.
I said it would
I'm
be an
pretty chipper.
inconvenience.
I was just afraid that I'd be low energy. That's the only thing.
Well, you're pretty low key and mellow, anyways. I don't think I've ever seen you like bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, but I've had some real rough podcast recordings. I had one that I did like 3 times
Oh God,
because I just
you're
was not on my game.
You're really instilling confidence in our listeners right now.
Well, if they're hearing it, it's the 3rd time already. We've
No,
done
I'm
this
talking
again
about for
and again.
our recording.
That's what I'm saying. If it makes it through,
Oh,
that
oh.
means you got a good one.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. All right. Well, enough of
I'll stop
that.
wasting time.
Yeah, let's
Enough of that.
enough of giving Alex's grief for not wanting to wake up and get on a podcast at 9 a.m. Anyways, so we haven't yet gotten into what we've been up to. So, Alex, you're our special guest, so we'll let you start off. Anything you want to share or anything of that nature?
I'm in California. I live in my RV, so still doing that. Eastern Sierra, just out here photographing.
Also that.
Yeah.
You've been hanging out with
I got a
Josh
couple
Cripps at all?
I saw Cripps on my way up.
Yeah.
And then I just saw Nolan Nitschke and Rob Hirsch.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a couple things I'm working on, but I learned over time, show don't tell. So
yeah, I was going to ask if
I'll just wait.
if we could touch on your one project in particular, but we'll leave that alone, I guess. This is when is this one coming out, Jeffrey?
I don't even know which one that is.
Well, I don't know how to allude to it without spoiling it, but
Is it physical?
yes.
Oh, that'd be a third one then. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Back burner.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Let's see. When is this even coming out? We should probably put this on the prep sheet. This is coming out November 18th for
November?
Patreon. Yeah.
Jeez.
We're ahead
You guys are
like I said,
We're
man,
way ahead.
we might
We're
be
way ahead.
nonsense, but we are somewhat organized nonsense.
busy.
Yeah,
Michael
we-
runs this show by spreadsheets and checklists and everything. So
Oh, I saw the sheet. Yeah.
Yes, there are tons of sheets behind.
Oh, that
this
wasn't
episode.
even the.
All
That's not the.
Oh, that's
not the master sheet. That's just the prep sheet for this episode. So, I got way more than that.
Well, I had a podcast bouncing around in my head for some time, and seeing that this is what's involved in it. Never mind. I'll just let you guys do it.
It's too structured. But anyways, no, this is coming out in November. So putting that timeline into factor. Got any workshops coming up? Or are you just kind of doing your own thing right now? Anything you want to plug, or you good?
Yeah, I guess if people are watching in November, no, they will have just missed my workshops.
This is great timing.
Yeah, I'll probably have nothing to plug. I think I'm just working on projects for the rest of the year whenever I'm not doing
All right.
doing those. I will have just gone down the coast. I won't be in California. That's out of date.
Already, just
Live
within the
updates.
span of 5
Well,
minutes.
I will be in California. Just
Further away.
coast. I will have done a whole loop by then. Anyway,
Gotcha.
I'm all over the place.
Well, we'll just say this. How about subscribe to Alex's email newsletter? You got that right, Alex? As you take a sip of your caffeine. So go out and sign up for his email, and you'll be abreast of what's going on in his world. So there you go. We'll try to remember to include a link to it in the show notes. So we'll pivot over to Jeffrey. What you been up to?
Well, since I didn't get any new episodes to post over the past week, I did get my 2026 calendar put together, and it's off at the printer now, so that's good. And then I do an art fair, and well, by now it'll have passed, but I am prepping for an art fair that's in a few weeks to have my stuff all set up for that. So that's really what most I've been working on.
And that's the one art fair you do a year, right? You don't do more than that?
Yep, one a year. I do one with the local photo club, and we share a booth, and I just go because it's fun to sort of show your work and talk to folks as they come through the booth.
Right.
So
Sell those calendars.
that's the hope.
Yep. So, yeah, I did not uphold my end of the bargain. I can't remember if it was during the recording or after last week that I said I was going to work all weekend last weekend on starting up on editing podcast episodes and shorts and reels and all that jazz. And I did not do a damn thing with the podcast. And it's my own fault because I broke my website, basically. So I went into the website last Friday to make a quote-unquote simple update to the homepage, and I decided to change the font theme, and not thinking that was going to change the fonts on my entire site. And I have had terrible font management on my website over the years. So where I had small fonts suddenly became giant fonts, and it was a bit of a mess. So I've been scrambling for just about the last week to get that cleaned up, at least on the most important pages. And in the midst of that, I decided to update SEO copy for workshop pages and print pages. So I've been, just creating more work for myself and not doing anything with the podcast. So sorry, Jeffrey, but you're going to have a lot coming your way, hopefully, next few days.
I know. It's going to be a busy weekend.
Yeah, be ready. Load up on the caffeine. Other than that, I think I did just a little bit of work on the Smoky Mountains files again, but yeah, still got plenty to chip away at there. And I think, yesterday I gave a presentation. It was my third presentation with My Photo Club UK, hosted by Roy Morris. So that was nice to get back in front of that group. Went really, really well. It was my first two presentations were all about Lightroom. This one was more on the creative end of things. It's centered around my making the image concept of kind of using the creative editing process to realize your vision for an image and how to better visualize things, from being in the field to coming back and doing your culling and then sitting down and thinking through what you want to convey to the viewer as you start working on the processing. So meant to be a little bit more software
You're structured
agnostic.
with your photography too.
Yeah. So It went really well. Really, really well. Other than the fact that because I was so panicked about my website looking like a mess that I didn't get a chance to send out an email notification about it.
Did you have to do it at 9 a.m.?
No, I did it at 1 p.m. Central Time. So
it's nice.
But unlike you, Alex, I'm up anyways. I don't like to photograph sunrise, but I have animals that make sure I'm up at sunrise anyways. So,
I'm a bad landscape photographer.
Yeah, I think you and I have that in common. If I don't have somebody hit me over the head, I'm more than content to stay curled up in the back of the 4Runner and get my my beauty rest in. So
you just
look, there's a lot of photos out there, and you still have your other half of opportunities.
Exactly.
Being that sunrise and sunset are the only time to shoot.
Right. There's no other time. The rest of the day, night is just awful.
I'm okay with throwing half of them away. I don't need them all.
Well, and your love of astrophotography too, right? You really love doing that, don't you, Alex?
Well, let's distinguish between deep space astrophotography and wide-angle Milky Way photography.
Right. Landscape astro. So
yeah.
If the audience can't tell, I'm dripping with a little bit of sarcasm right here. So Alex is not known for his wide-angle astro. Actually, I don't know that I've even seen deep space astro from you. So.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's something that I do enjoy. I do like. I think it's the neatest thing in the entire world.
Yes.
I just the wide-angle Milky Way stuff has a way of kind of looking samey, but I'm also like coming around. It's like, I think occasionally, I just wouldn't make it my whole thing.
Right.
Because then my whole portfolio would look the same. Unless I went between the two hemispheres all the time.
Yeah.
Then I'd have two photos in my portfolio.
I wonder how that works when you're on the equator. Like, obviously you don't just take a step and suddenly you've got a different night sky. So
no, you're something in the middle, right?
I'm guessing you've got to do a little bit of travel more than that.
You take a step and the whole thing just shifts around.
A new slide loads.
Yeah.
It's all a simulation. Yeah. So, all right, well, cool. Let's. This has been full of nonsense so far. So let's jump into curation. So, Alex, I know
Keep into the name.
You said you're running a little ragged this morning, thanks to staying up too late. But this was your recommendation,
no, I feel
your
great.
suggestion. So. My intent was to kind of let you guide the conversation, but if you need help with that, we can pick up the slack for you. But
well, you have this wonderful document with a billion nice questions.
Yes, again, my assistant Chad GPT helping out with that. So,
is that where all this came from?
No, Alex, I would never use AI to help me with prep for the podcast show. Anyways, our little joke that we have an assistant named Chad. If you want to kind of throw it out there in terms of curation and what you wanted to get out of the conversation, what you wanted to convey to the listeners, I'll toss it to you, sir.
I like your questions. I feel like they'll lead me exactly where I need to be.
All right, well, fine. We'll just start with it that way. Or Jeffrey, do you have one flag?
You're the host.
Dude,
you have to host
I am stepping back from this host nonsense.
Ask me a question.
I'm tired of lifting the load. Actually, I'm trying to talk less, as evidenced by some of my commentary and Matt's and Sarah's episodes. But anyway, Jeffrey, do you have a question you want to start with? I'm going to defer. Our audience is quickly jumping off.
Yeah, right? Like, they're like, who's running this show?
You can edit all this. Yeah.
Who's running this? I guess to start off with, what is curation to you and how important is it to what you put out into the world?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question. Chat.
Chad. It's Chad GPT. He's Italian.
For me, it's just kind of ruthless honesty about my own work and selection. And I think it's like, how important is it? I think it's everything. If you think that I'm a good photographer, it's because I'm a good curator. Like, you haven't seen, hopefully, all the horrible photos I make, all the mediocre photos I make. If it's exciting to look at my photos and you're not just like, oh, more of this, like, then I think it's all curation, So recognizing or being able to be honest enough about your own images, because they're all your creations, and you want to keep them all, or you don't want to have wasted time on something you're not using. But just, I think that's so important for presentation if the goal is to keep the viewer engaged. And I think that's been one of my main secrets. It's super important to me.
Yeah, I think how you framed it is spot on. And I remember just a anecdotal experience or whatever with me. One of my sisters years ago commented like, how do you never take a bad photo? And it's like, whoa, don't you worry. I take plenty of bad photos. You just hopefully, as you said, Alex, hopefully you never see them. And it's strictly due to curation. And, one of the things we've talked a little bit about, I can't remember which episodes it was, but in terms of like my curation process, I start with the culling and rating my images 1, 2, 3, and then my 3 stars are the ones that I kind of leave as my candidates for editing. But one thing I haven't really talked about is my culling and curation process extends into the editing process because, I'm not going to have a perfect curation before I even start editing. So there's plenty of additional throwing away, quote unquote, of images that I have in my Lightroom catalog that I start editing them and there's just something there that you realize isn't quite working, or maybe you thought you could make it work, but it's just not coming together. So I think that's something too, is for me, that really once I'm to the processing stage, that's probably my most critical part of the curation in the moment. And then obviously I do step back when I've got a collection for a new gallery or an ebook or whatever kind of ready to go. Then I do step back and take that final pass at it. But really it's when I'm editing it, like, and again, we've talked about on the podcast, if it feels like I'm trying to polish a turd, then it probably doesn't belong in my
the truth is revealed.
Yeah. If I'm really having to push the edit
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I do a lot of like pre-culling and then edit sort of all in one go. So like I've got this, whatever I did in spring, I've been looking at it for months, occasionally looking in on it and like, maybe I don't need these like now that I'm further removed from the process and can look at it a little more objectively. But I'm sure that when I process this whole set, there's going to be some that are just like, this isn't actually going to work. Like whatever I imagined I was going to do with it, and it'll get even smaller. But I've learned to be okay with that. Like, I think that one powerful image, like one unforgettable image, is more valuable than 100 like nice ones.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just for my approach.
Yeah. So you've listened to our episode with Sarah, which was around releasing new work and ebooks and curation around that. And one of the things we talked about is we were in agreement that we would keep photos in a larger collection for the sake of telling the story. And Sarah's commentary around like a lot of her photos, she doesn't feel necessarily stand on their own, but they stand as a collective within a gallery. And I think historically, you, Alex, you've pretty much just released galleries on your website. I don't think, have you done any ebooks? I can't recall.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's a great idea. I just didn't want to do the Me Too thing yet.
Sure.
Till maybe it was more more prevalent.
Sure.
So I wouldn't feel like I was just copying Sarah.
Sure. Whereas I just jumped right in. Hey, that's a great idea.
I might be dragged in. No, I mean, there's nothing. It's a great thing. Actually, that's my excuse for just not wanting to produce a really nice document.
Gotcha.
Because my website's so much easier. But no, I totally agree with everything that she was saying and you guys were saying about presentation. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
It kind of encourages more thoughtful looking to viewing.
And given the nature of how you release your work, you put them out in new gallery collections on your website. I'm assuming from a social media standpoint, you're not going out there then and, well, maybe you are, but do you curate differently for social media? Like, do you take what you've released in the gallery on your website and do you pick and choose for social media, or do you just release everything over time on social media, or how do you kind of approach that?
Well, I'm a bad social media shepherd. I don't know what you'd call it. Like, I don't really take care of my own account because I'll go months between posting now. But I think for me, there's this, it's really dumb because everyone's posting on social media all the time, constantly. Dumb for me to feel this way, but I feel like when I put something on social media, I'm specifically saying, hey, look at this one thing. Look at this. I like it. Whereas on my website, it's more like, hey, this is here and you can take it or leave it. Social media, it's like this, comment on it, look at it. So like I guess I have this feeling that I should put better stuff on social media, which is really, really weird because it's just a whole bunch of garbage out there. But also you want to stand out in a sea of that garbage. Right. And, I think I just don't get as much out of posting anymore as I used to, 10 years ago. So I haven't done as much. And so I just keep it to the high impact images, or even just like what I feel at the time is the best one, and then kind of announce you can go look at more if you want.
So what would I don't know how would you
I guess you'd call that curation.
Yeah. So from a social media aspect, how would you define a high impact image versus one that maybe wouldn't?
Well, and that's the thing. I'm not even choosing what's best for social media,
Gotcha.
Because I can look at an image and say, this is going to blow up on social. And then I can look at another one and be like, that's my favorite. And then I always lead with my favorite, even if it's like quieter and I know it's not going to do so well. So I don't even play the game very well. So I just don't know that I'm the person, to take advice from on social. So I'm sort of resting on my laurels at this point. Like, I can be a bad social media manager because I spent all this time growing it, starting in 2010 or whenever.
Yeah, you got in at the right time when growth was actually still relatively achievable. Yeah. I think I had to relaunch my social accounts on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, a little over a year ago, and I'm not even to half of where I was at in terms of followers.
Yeah, what happened there?
It was a whole mess with Meta, of course.
Access, right?
It was. There was something that happened with my account years ago with the business back end of it, to where my ad account and the ability to run ads was shut down. And I apparently received a notification via email, but I never saw it. So maybe it went to spam or something. And I had a limited amount of time to address it. So it's actually what led me to pay for verification. It was just to get some better support and actually be able to talk to somebody. And to their credit, I actually had a phone call with somebody. But it basically came back that, there's a limited window to address that. So as I'm looking to get into leading workshops and do more of that nature, I want the ability to potentially run an ad here and there. I couldn't even boost post. I couldn't do anything from a business standpoint. And then there was something I had done, and I lost access to be able to use the Meta business suite. So it was just a mess. So I just basically said, screw it. For the long term, it would be better to start over.
You had to start over.
Yep. Yeah.
And then did you find yourself posting your back catalog to kind of fill it in?
Yeah, Jeffrey will get a kick out of this. I have a spreadsheet of when I've last posted all of my images.
I would expect no less.
I have one too. It's Instagram, and I scroll back until I find it.
No, I shared this on...
Whoa, it's been 3 years already? Yes, I can post it again.
I shared a screenshot of it on, I think, Discord, and Sarah was teasing me about it. But yeah, it's I've got every image numbered, which is how I keep them ordered in my galleries and my portfolio and everything. And then I've got the name, the location, the sublocation, the year it was taken, what aspect ratio, which orientation. Is it black and white? Have I posted it to my website yet? Is it optimized for SEO?
Okay, here's the thing about curation. Here's a great thing about curation. You don't need spreadsheets if you only have 500 images over 15 years like I do.
Yeah, well, there's that.
You can name an image and I'll be like, that's 7x5 or that's 4x3.
So that
was this year.
It's more about having a reference point for when I am scheduling things for social media, that I can just go, right, this was this year. Because, 2021 versus 2022 at my local park where I've got a couple hundred photos, some of that's getting a little blurry in my mind now. I like to think it's not old age, it's just quantity. But it's mostly just as a handy reminder and things that I've noticed that I can't necessarily keep track of over the years. Oh, and I track what season it is. I track whether I've got a mock-up made of it for the wall art. So it's my big nerdy social media tracker spreadsheet. So anyways,
I've never keyworded an image. I've never
I'm terrible about
done a keyword at all.
Yeah.
But everyone's always talking about it. It seems like everybody does it.
Yeah. Are you talking about in Lightroom?
I think that's
catalog, or are you talking about on your website?
No, in Lightroom or website or anywhere. It's just if you ask me for fall images, I would just go to all my photos and start picking them out one by one.
In my Lightroom catalog, ironically, my spreadsheet is more organized than my Lightroom in that regard. I am terrible about keywording. Sorry, Jeffrey, you were going to chime in.
Yeah, I think Lightroom's one of those things. Everyone goes, "Oh yeah, it's got keywording, it's great," but like none of us actually really use it very well.
Yeah, I think Chrissy Donati is like the Lightroom keywording queen, and I definitely I love the way she approaches it, but the thought of sitting down and starting to do all that is just
It's too late at this point.
That's kind of how I feel. It's too late for me.
Like, I'm
save yourself.
It's too late to do it right. I've already done it poorly for so long that I'm just going to stick with this forever.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to your original question. Yeah, I started over, and yes, thanks to my handy dandy spreadsheet, I started resharing older work on the new account because I figured, A, I'm sure I had new followers in there, and B, like typically my rule of thumb is I don't have an issue resharing on social media, and we've gone way off on a tangent at this point from Curation, but usually like if it's been...
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, if it's been like 6 or 12 months since I last posted an image, I'm okay posting it again because, again, with algorithms, hell, 90% of my followers probably didn't even see it the last time I posted it, and then you've got your new followers that have come into the fold, so...
Oh my God, it's insane, man.
Yeah, it's...
I got up to 180K like 5 years ago, and it's just been this slow bleed down to 173 now.
Aww.
Which is fine. It's whatever. But
let me get out my tiny little violin.
The number of people that see things,
it's crazy.
Is so insanely low. Like something blows up relative to other photos, and maybe like I want to say like 15% of my people would have seen it then.
Yeah.
You know?
If that,
Which is why I don't put that much effort into it anymore.
Yeah,
like,
same here.
The juice isn't worth the squeeze here. I'll just put like something I really like there, and it might drive people to my site a little, but I think that kind of brings me to an idea about curation, is that like ultimately I'm trying to guide people to my website to become a fan, in the sense that like they would want to know what's up with my work, whether they're following on social media or not.
Right.
And the reason for that is that, that whole adage about having 1,000 true fans or whatever is all you need. And I'm sure that I have that because I've been able to make this work that long. But like, I think curation, like being more stringent and kind of having a particular threshold for my work, and like kind of an overarching theme, even if not like a particular story, which is something we could talk about, has kind of made those fans maybe like I think if I was constantly flooding with every photo I made, or if I was way less strict about it, I think that I would have less of an identity as a photographer, and people would be less likely to be like, I need to see what Alex has done recently. Because it just kind of be more all over the place. So I think curation like kind of allows you to have a tighter, more identifiable way of being seen.
Right. Well, and I think the stricter you are with your curation when you do put out a new gallery, I think there's likely to be more excitement generated by it, because they know it's going to be, as you would say, Alex, hot new shit. So there's...
Well, I don't think that it is. It's just that I think that if I'm happy with it, that's really my only goal.
Right, yeah.
Then other people are more likely to be. And I can look at, I've done like bigger galleries, like, which for me is like, 50 images or something instead of 20 or 30. And just always end up getting back down in that same number, because I just have redundant images. I mean, maybe I'm just not that creative, but like if I do it in one place, like let's say I'm in Death Valley for a month and I make a bunch of images, I feel like there's going to be some redundancies if I'm able to put out 50 images in that time. It's not like 50 exceptional things happened. So I'm kind of just throwing out what you don't need to get the point across. The point being, like, what is it that I can uniquely offer?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I'm more on the other end of the spectrum with Sarah, where I'm more willing to include photos that, they're not the same compositions or scenes or anything, but to your point, they are similar in terms of the general theme or light or what have you. And to me, it's collectively all part of telling the story. But to your point, you could get that across with 1 or 2 photos versus 5 or 6 or what have you. And I would say for me personally, I probably could do a little bit more curation. I still do really struggle with the emotional attachment aspect of it. I feel like I've gotten better, but
that takes time.
Yeah, I mean, to
be able to kill your babies.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as I like to joke, it's really hard to choose which baby you're going to kill. So,
you go back in the closet.
Right,
you sit there for 10 years on that hard drive.
Yeah, and I think what I've done too, and kind of what you just said about sit there on that hard drive, is with the tendency I have to go into my archives regularly and kind of take a fresh look at what's in there, and I'll pull out stuff, is I think I've got opportunity to maybe be a little tighter on the curation, but maybe I set stuff aside for a future release that maybe tells the story a little bit differently, or just I feel enough time has passed between gallery A and gallery F, and now I can put that stuff out there a little bit more cohesively. So anyways, Jeffrey, any thoughts on
you don't need to. Yeah.
No, I think that I totally get the tighter curation leads to building those fans faster, because there's more excitement, like we talked about, when you put that work out there. People see something, and that probably means Alex really thinks this is a good image, and it gets that attention, or something new from Alex. So I totally get where that comes from. I completely struggle with killing my babies and not posting mediocre work. I sometimes feel like it's because I don't have as big a catalog, so I feel forced to, in order to keep up on social media, I end up posting stuff it's not my best work, it's not my worst, but it hits that mediocre. I really feel that when you say, don't post mediocre work, and it's like, I could totally more tightly cure. I struggle with that, just from a, I'm in that weird spot trying to make, do it as a business too. So it's like, am I hurting myself because it's mediocre work? And people are like, oh, why would I go to that person? Or is it at least gets me in front of people where people might look a little closer? So curation is a huge thing for me, like trying to streamline it and find that right spot.
I think the way to make business work in art, especially in the modern internet where we're highly saturated, is to stand out in some way, to do something that's uniquely you. And so that's really what guides me, because I make a lot of photos that I think are I make a lot of photos that I think that almost any competent nature photographer could make, or would have made if they were standing there, And then I make some that, like, I feel like if someone else was standing next to me, they wouldn't have seen the same thing, because it's just some weird ass idea I had. And that's kind of what I value. Yep. And then I think that, even though you're not getting in front of as many eyes by doing as much, maybe it helps carve out your niche. I want it all to be memorable, And even with releasing galleries, I really think of only a few key images. Like, what did I really do this time in Death Valley? It's like, there's 3 images or something that stand out that I'm really adding to my overall, and then the rest of it is sort of I wouldn't say filler, but it's just like, I guess, completing the story, like you said, just on a smaller scale. It's sort of what you're thinking about.
Yeah. And I think too, the more I think about curation at the end of the photographic process, the more I'm thinking about variety when I'm in the field. I've been to Utah, southern Utah, several times, and I revisit a lot of the same places in addition to going to new ones. And it's like, okay, I've been here before. I'm not going to just take the same photos or find the same compositions. And I'm looking for that more unique thing, because kind of getting to your point, Alex, like if I've already done it, maybe it's not worth doing it again from a showing off my skills and showing off who I am as a photographer, as an artist, and so on and so forth. Let me find something a little bit new and different.
Don't go look at my website and see all the same Dune photos I was making like 8 years ago.
But I assume that's something
this one's a little different. Of, right? It's like the lines go like this instead of like this.
Right. But I think that's, as you said, curation gets easier over time. And I think as that part of it gets easier, at least to me, again, it gets easier for me to kind of curate in the field before I even make the photo with the camera. Because I am thinking about that, like, okay, well, I've already done this. And like I'm thinking right now, I'm going back to Utah in, less than 2 months now. And I know there's a specific area I want to get back to, because last time I was there for fall, I was a little late. So I want to get back there and see if I can hit it a little earlier this time. But I know I'm going to encounter a lot of the same environment, obviously, it's the same area. So how can I put a different spin on it? So it's just, again, I think that curation on the back half or the end of the process also teaches you to be a little bit more thoughtful when you're in the field, actually looking for those opportunities to photograph to begin with. And Jeffrey, I would say to your point about, putting out mediocre work or what have you, and I'll challenge you again on your assessment of your own work. But I think, too, there is that argument of, well, should social media be reserved just for the best of the best work? Or is it more around telling that story of where you've been, what you're doing, what you're seeing, where you're offering workshops? And I'll refer to Thomas Heaton again as an example where he puts out a video pretty much every single week, and he's very open about his videos aren't his portfolio of work. He includes stuff in the videos that wouldn't make it into his web gallery or what have you, simply because he's telling a story through the video. And I think social media can be approached the same way to an extent of you're using what you're posting there to tell a little bit more of the story about you and your offerings and, again, where you've been versus, Alex or whomever of, hey, I'm only posting the stuff that's in my gallery, my the best of the best.
Right.
So I think everybody's choice is going to be different there too. And, social media is such a cluster anyways. Who knows what the right approach is, but
You'd probably result in growth to share all that instead of a slow bleed, like I was saying. So I wasn't complaining about the number. It was more like an indictment, like, okay, I haven't put much into this, and I'm also not getting much out of it now. So that's probably partly on me, even though the algorithms are terrible.
Well, and frankly, again, not to get on a social media tangent more than we have, but if I see my follower count go down a little bit, I'm actually kind of excited because I figure Meta's hopefully just cleaning out some bots. So maybe it's not the worst thing.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's always what I tell myself.
I'm just like, this many people per day go out of their way, even though I haven't posted in 4 months, to be like, I don't want to follow this guy anymore. It's like, that's weird.
Yeah, I was just looking at my email stats before I jumped into the session here, and I sent out an email yesterday about the presentation I was giving, kind of a last minute, and I sent another one out this morning because I got extension on access to the recording that I was letting people know about. And some of them are people that have been getting my emails for years and unsubscribe. It's like, man, I'm just sharing something that conceivably you should be interested in. But yeah, people do things for,
something that you signed up for.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I take it all personally. I'm like, well, fine then. Yeah. I'm sorry you don't want the thing that you asked for.
Right. Yeah, I try to tell myself, I'm just weeding out the people that aren't part of my true fan club, so it's fine. But yeah, it's hard not to take that a little personally, whether it's email or social media or what have you.
Yeah.
Have you ever, since I think, Alex, you've got such a tight focus on curation and really limiting it down, do you find yourself ever going back and kind of wishing that you had included something or more photos in a set? And
I'll just release it later, and sometimes I do that. I'll go update my website with things I found in the archive, and then maybe I'll share that on social media because I know people haven't seen it. So here's some things I resurrected from the dead. I think that we're always evolving, hopefully, and so what you think is good 5-10 years down the line might be quite a bit different than what you think now, or you might be less hung up on some little thing that you're obsessed with now that kills an image for you, and maybe whatever your favorite is now won't do it for you then. So I go back and look at the archives sometimes, but I feel like with the amount of time I give myself to curate now, I'm probably 6 months behind when I actually shot it to when I'm posting. I have so much time to actually look at things objectively that I'm doing it less. I'm changing it less. I'm kind of that's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I'm not making constant changes.
So on the flip side of that, using your sand dune photos as an example, do you go back and do you ever pull stuff out off the website or do you just leave it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The website is... I pay more attention to it than social media because I have full control over it, but also in that vein, I can keep continually curating it. Like, I'm always changing my personal favorites. I'm like, I don't like that photo anymore. Like, trying to maintain kind of like a crash course on what it is I have to offer via the personal favorites. And then, like, in the archives, I really just, I love that I can go back and change it. Unlike social media, ironic that is forever, and then your own website is so fluid. But I'm always asking myself, like, if someone new came to my website, someone that I really look up to, and I want them to see what I'm all about, like, do I need to be presenting them with the 400th best photo that I've ever made, or should I make sure that I get my best work in front of their eyes? You know, so like, the website is like personal favorites first, and then even within each gallery, I'm kind of, you know, the flow of it is partly, you know, aspect ratio and color and whatever looks good in a grid, because I've got the three wide grid on my site, but also like putting better stuff first, but not, you know, all of it first, so that then you go through a gallery and like by the end you're just seeing the bullshit. Like, try to spread out some of the good stuff. I'm really thinking about, like, if someone I really look up to comes here, how are they going to perceive the work? Because I think that will make me the most critical of myself, you know? Because, like, I don't care. My buddy goes and looks, and I don't respect him at all, you know?
Yeah, like Matt Payne, like, who cares what he thinks?
I don't give a shit. Like, no, but am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, why not?
I think about it from that perspective, and then I think that kind of clues me in on, like, oh, that's actually not very strong, because I would not want someone of that caliber looking at this. Like, I was at Light Chasers.
Yeah, you look at that.
With nice. Alistair Ben, and we were sitting next to each other, and he's on his phone looking at my 2024 Yosemite fall, and then I see him, like, I see where he stops and just like puts it away, and it was on this photo that I don't care about at all, and like, I feel like it was it doesn't say anything about like what I can really do. And I asked him about it. I'm like, yeah, that wasn't that strong, was it? And he's like, no, I don't think you need that one, or whatever. You know, like, and like, even that curated gallery of like 30, I was like, okay, I did this because the rows of 3 all had their own little cohesive theme, and it all just came out so cleanly. But I went back and like deleted 3 or 6 more and like reorganized everything, because like, this photographer I respected was just like kind of underwhelmed by where he got to in that gallery, I think. And I love that. I love that it's tighter now, you know? I don't mind. So I'm not offended, because I know I have good photos. It's just those weren't the ones that I need to be showing everybody.
So we've talked about like interesting, strong, and things, but what are you really looking? What makes the cut? So if you've got good, like that photo you just talked about, where he closed it down. When you reevaluate that, what specifically is it? Color? Is it the light? Is it textures? Is it like for people that struggle with curating, like me, of what takes it from? In your case, I'm going to go good to great instead of mediocre, because it's too big a chasm. But you're good to great. What do you do? Do you sit down and open it up on the computer, big screen, and ponder it? Like how do you get to that cut? And is there anything technical you're looking for? Composition, just time away, come back? What makes that cut? How do you drive that decision?
There's all sorts of context. So the context of, I'll say this one first, because maybe it's less important. There's the greater context of what everyone has done and what you're aware of being out there. You know, and I start with this as being less important, because maybe you shouldn't care what other people think or what anyone else is doing. But I still like to be aware of whether something is actually innovative or me, you know, like really uniquely me, or if it's just something that a lot of people do and it could be confused for someone else's image even. So there's that context. And then I come from a bit of a privileged perspective by now, having been doing this for like 15 years, is that I have a pretty good portfolio built up that I'm happy with and proud of. And so I can afford to be more selective. So the context of like what I've done versus what I'm doing now, I have to compare it to my own work. so I'm like, do I, like the Dune images, for example, I have, you know, it might be like a tenth of my portfolio, like, or more. Like I might have 50 Dune images in there. And like, what is this new one bringing to the table? What have I done before? Like, if it's just really nice conditions and light and composition, even if it's similar to something before, like if everything is banging on all cylinders, like I'll still use it. But if it's just kind of like nothing crazy happened, it's just like just the composition. Like I think I've already nailed enough Dune compositions that unless it's something completely new and different, if it's just a nice composition but the light wasn't crazy and there wasn't any wind or anything, it's like just another one of those, then I'm just like, how many of those do I need, you know? Yep. And then, yeah, so I do kind of value like the rarity of the image at a certain point too, like whatever happened with conditions, or more importantly, what I did differently to compose it or make a composition out of a crazy occurrence of light, whatever. Like that's kind of what makes it special to me, is like something that can't be replicated or that no one else would have seen. So that's really the number one criteria. Like I have an image last year of Bridal Veil Falls in Yosemite coming down into some like lit up trees and darkness. And like that is a thing that happens every time that it's clear on that day at that time, like that day of the year at that time. So it wasn't like conditions, but also I've never seen it before. And it's kind of like this freak occurrence that only happens like for a minute. And so to me, it's highly valuable because it's rare in the sense that no one else has found exactly when and where to be for that. And I just happened to find it. You know, so it's not, I don't want to give the impression that it's just conditions or like, oh, something crazy happened. It's just whatever makes it mine and
unique.
No one else.
It sounds like uniqueness.
That's the number one
key.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's all, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and it's also derivative too, you know, like I look at like I have these foam photos that I took a couple years ago in Yosemite, 3 years ago, swirling foam, black and white. And then I'm just like, John Sexton did that 50 years ago, you know, so like literally 50 years ago. So it's not like I'm, so unique, but I also haven't seen a lot of it lately, you know, and I see it as kind of like an homage to like the old masters. So like, I highly value that too, you know, like what am I doing differently than the constant flood of slop that we see on social media? There's all different contexts or criteria, but I think generally like what's different or what's special is probably number one. And then I try to be consistent about processing and all that. Like I hope that they're all of a similar quality in terms of the post-production. If it doesn't work or if it's really challenging, I'll spend a whole lot of extra time to get it there. Yeah, and that's just again comparing it to your own work, like trying to have a even presentation.
You're one of those editors that you spend a fair bit of time on your images, don't you? Or do I have that skewed?
Depends. I mean, much less so nowadays, and maybe that leads to fewer. I'm less hungry nowadays, so I think when I was starting out, I was like, I have to prove myself. I have to do as much as I can, and like always be putting out images, you know, and I would force things that weren't even working, like force them in post, because I feel pretty adept with Photoshop, and like I can, you know, really make things happen when they were really not happening. Not like compositing, but just like, you know, really massaging the shit out of it. And I feel now that if it's going to be that much work, like it's got to be unique on the composition side or the actual occurrence in nature. Yeah. To make me want to put that much work into it. I have a lot of images that are just straight out of Lightroom, some sliders, or maybe go into Photoshop in like 2 layers now. But I also have some that are like, I'll spend hours and hours on 50 different layers and they all do one little thing. It's not like I'm altering it so crazily. It's more like, I just want it to be perfect.
Right. Good stuff. So I think something worth talking about too, and Sarah kind of leaned into this a little bit too in the episode with her, but the three of us are talking about it from more of that professional standpoint. We're trying to either make a living off of it, or in Jeffrey's case, build up a business and supplement his other job. But conceivably, many of our listeners aren't doing photography for the sake of a living. They're doing it as a hobby for the pure enjoyment of it. Any thoughts on why curation would be just as important for somebody that's doing it more casually versus folks like us that are, we're trying to present a brand image for, I guess at the end of the day, that would be the extent of it. But for somebody that's not doing that, any thoughts on why they should still seriously look at their curation process?
I think that, I'd certainly be a little less stringent if I didn't feel there was some expectation of quality. But at the same time, what I get out of it is the satisfaction of making high quality work. I make a lot of images where I liked being in nature, and I even liked the process of making the photo. But I don't think the photo is good, and I don't share it. And I don't see why I need to complete that photo. I think I already got what I needed out of it. And so for me, what's satisfying about finishing a photo and putting time into it and then sharing it is making something I'm proud of. And so regardless of whether I'm trying to make a business out of it or whatever, I just think that curation could be helpful in presenting a very specific aesthetic. It's not oh, I'm trying to stand out with this aesthetic. It's just thinking about the experience of the viewer. I would still want them to kind of get an idea, have an idea conveyed by me choosing better photos or photos that fit certain criteria. I wouldn't just post everything I ever take, even if I wasn't doing it for a living.
Right.
I think just the satisfaction of creating great art is reason enough.
Yeah,
and that's part of it, I think, is being willing to kill your babies.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of it too, is what's your driving motivation behind why you photograph? Is your intent, even if you're doing it as a hobby, is your intent to be just a hobbyist and do it for fun and the joy of it? Or are you wanting to drive for improvement over time? And curation almost forces you to find ways to improve, again, going back to our previous discussion, find ways to improve from the field into the culling and curation process in your Lightroom catalog or wherever you do it. Because if you're wanting to improve, well, you've got to think more critically about the entire process from shutter press to final export or what have you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about now, I play guitar, and I've been playing for over 20 years. And I don't think I play like someone who's been playing for 20 years. I probably play like someone who's been playing for 10, because I haven't ever felt a need to present it to other people. It's very selective. If I send a recording to someone, it's really just for me. But it's still super satisfying to get better, right? And to be able to play a harder song and to hear that beauty.
Right.
And so, I guess I'm not as stringent with something that I have no expectations externally or any sort of judgment at all externally. It's all just me in my bedroom. Certainly have not been as driven to improve. I'm just happy to play the song, even if it's not particularly hard, or I've been playing it for 10 years already.
Right.
But it is so satisfying when you learn something new and achieve something new still,
Yeah.
Whenever I push myself to do that, I am glad that I did.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that would be the case in photography too, is that kind of crossing a new artistic barrier or breaking something open for yourself, regardless of what other people are going to get out of it, would be satisfying in my mind.
Yeah.
But you have to be self-motivated to do so, because with the guitar, I'm saying, I've kind of plateaued because I am not really motivated to get to the same level that I can be at in other disciplines,
Yeah.
It's just fun.
And I think that's perfectly fine too. I kind of, as you were talking, I was like, I don't really have a hobby that I just do for the joy of it, and I'm not trying to, frankly, I don't really have hobbies outside of photography other than reading. So
you're really good at that, though.
There's no joy in my life.
Yeah.
I do it all for the money, really.
Yeah. So, well, and that's the thing, is I get a lot of joy out of photography, but I don't have anything at this point, now that photography is where I'm trying to build my career and my financial stability. I don't have anything that I'm just doing for the joy of it, so to speak. So whether it be guitar or And I'm like, I've thought about getting into leatherworking just as like something kind of fun to do that's not photography, that I don't have that kind of, not overbearing, but just that constant pressure of, okay, well, what am I doing to actually drive the business and drive the financials or what have you? So anyway, just an aside. But, Alex, if you want to improve your guitar, just share it with Alistair, because as we know, he's a fantastic guitar player and writes his own music for his books. So you can just share stuff with him again and feel bad.
I got to a level where I can impress normal people, but I'm not. That's enough.
Yeah,
I don't even like playing in front of anyone.
I inherited it was my grandfather's guitar, which then my dad had, and I inherited it over the years, and I tried for a little bit, and I don't know, just not for me. Maybe I've got crooked fingers, you probably can't tell on the camera, but I have trouble cupping water, so maybe that precludes me from being very good at the guitar. So.
It's got a bit of a higher barrier to entry, I think, than photography. Photography, you can kind of start seeing results pretty soon, especially nowadays, without the whole film process. And it really takes a lot of time on guitar to get comfortable and capable. Yeah. A lot of, like, if you get to that point, it means that you cared. And in photography, I guess, man, I don't know if I even had a greater point to make here. Let's see if I can make it insightful. Yeah, well, if you do get to the point where you feel that you've mastered something and put so much time into it, then I think that in and of itself is a reason to try to be better at it, I guess. Because, like, what was the point in all of the investment if you're not going to do the best work that you can?
Right.
So then I'm not always going to do the best work that I can. I make a lot of bad photos, like I said, but the curation is kind of like doing your best work.
Yeah.
It's like recognizing this is really what this is the fruit that all of that effort has borne.
Yeah. So you kind of just very lightly touched on something that has been on my mind the last few days around the technology and the barrier to entry, and how that bar has lowered over the years as technology has advanced. And the reason it's been kind of in the front of my mind in how it ties into curation is Google just unveiled their Pixel 10 phones, and they've got more AI-driven software, of course, because that's what everybody's focused on these days.
Slap a moon in there if you point at the moon.
Right.
Well, it's more around, I guess, the curation aspect of it would be what we were talking about in terms of the curation piece starts when you're in the field, to now the AI, you can take a photo with the phone and have AI analyze the photo, and it'll recommend ways to better compose it. So, maybe put the subject in the lower left and angle it this way so you get leading lines and blah, blah, blah. So maybe this is a philosophical question to kind of wind the conversation down, since we're about an hour in, but what are your thoughts on technology, further lowering the bar or the barrier to entry for new photographers, but also for folks like us that are in it for several years now? Like, would you use technology along those lines to either help with the curation process or help evaluate a scene in the field? I have a pretty strong assumption of what your answer would be, but I'm just curious about that, because we talk about curation, but now we're on the cusp of AI and technology kind of even taking that over for at least somebody casual, but inevitably that stuff tends to trickle upwards into the more advanced, quote unquote, cameras from Canon and Sony and Nikon and that. I don't know. Let's loosely throw it out there.
Of my answer.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that you would never give up your
my facial expressions.
Well, see, the tricky part with the podcast is I'm looking at myself the entire time, so it looks like I'm actually looking at the audience. But so you're just like in my peripheries over here. So I'm just going on a base assumption of what your thoughts are.
Well, okay, so lowering the barrier to entry is good in a way. I love that more people can do photography now. Also, I think that if you lower it too much, then you don't really have so many practitioners of the craft, like masters of the craft. Mm-hmm. I think that there is something beautiful about like learning something so deeply and understanding how it works in such depth that you utilize that to create something amazing or new. Like I shudder at the thought of never having learned how photography actually works and just kind of having a computer guide me through it. And like composition, because I think that I have such strong views on what I want out of an image because I've been through that whole process of growing and like, oh, this is hard and I need to figure out why this works or this doesn't and how I can do this. And then getting to the point where it's easy or you've mastered it or like you kind of feel like you're in your groove. Like if you just start there and you're following directions from a computer, like I hate that. I hate that so much. I can't tell you how much I hate. And then the fact that the AI will have been trained on every image ever, and it's just like by definition, the most derivative thing you could possibly be doing. Right. It's like, yeah, maybe for like super beginner, like, but I think people would be doing themselves a disservice to use tools like that, because I think that it's all up here and it's not about like being at the location. I mean, yes, you got to be there, F8 and be there or whatever, but I don't think it's about the location or the subject or the tools or being there so much as it is about what you've got going on in your head. And if you're just going to automate that process, that part of it that really to me is the whole game, then why are you even doing it? You know, you're just like a meat sack operating equipment.
Right. Yeah, I think
like just have the equipment operate itself at that point. Why are you even there?
Right. Yeah, I think it goes back to our episode on AI in general in terms of, I think it's something like what Google has just rolled out with the new Pixel phones. To me, that's like training wheels. You're just starting out. You're wanting to improve. It's not too dissimilar to taking a photo and sending it to a friend and saying, hey, you know, what do you think? What could I do differently? It's kind of like that little impartial third party.
As long as people see them as training wheels and take them off.
Right, and that's the thing is...
And don't just become reliant on it forever and like stop thinking, you know?
If you're only reliant on... Sorry, go ahead.
No, just that's the whole thing with AI in general, right? Yeah. Like, are you going to have the computer do all your thinking for you, or are you going to like use it as a tool to help you in a certain way?
And I'm losing my voice here for some reason. And as you said, it's derivative because it's looking at everything that already exists. So if you never take off those training wheels, I don't think you're going to be coming away with photos or art, or however you want to term it, that speaks to who you are and your creative vision. You're just doing what has probably been done before.
Into being the same.
Right.
It's going to guide you into being the same in something where everyone has the capability to be uniquely different.
Right. Yep. Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm a big for the fundamentals, so those training wheels can be helpful maybe to, like you said, if you treat them as training wheels. But to me, where the real art comes from is your interpretation of when to apply those fundamentals, how to apply those fundamentals, how to look at the scene in front of you and do it. But I do fear that there's going to be a whole subset of people that will just keep the training wheels all the time because it's easy and they just want, take it back to social media. They want the likes, they want the clicks and things like that. But I think, ultimately that AI logic can't be as artistic as a human, and we'll see where that divide happens. Does it end up with fewer masters or a bigger chasm between they're just using the training wheels all the time versus someone really bringing their interpretations into it? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I didn't know that phone had started to do that.
I just saw it yesterday or the day before. But and I think it's important too to delineate between, there's a difference between somebody that is on a vacation with the family and getting tips on how to take a better, more interesting photo or whatever, versus, us coming at it and, not meaning to, but sounding maybe a little pretentious, like, oh, well, it's not art. Well, not everybody's looking to do that, but there's different pockets of photographers out there. But I think if you are trying to do something that's your own and unique, then certainly, again, you got to rip those training wheels off at some point. Otherwise, you're not going to have your own unique voice in the space.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
You have to learn to swim.
Yes, learn to swim. I think actually we hit most of the points on the sheet. Jeffrey, was there anything else that you wanted to touch base on, or Alex, anything you wanted to discuss before we wrap this up?
I think just to recap, because that was a lot of information, for me, the main purpose of curation is to make my photography memorable. So I hope that it's easily identifiable as mine because it looks like one of mine. I hope that, titling is part of that too, like trying to give it an identity, give each image an identity. But really, like, I don't want you to come away with a vague idea of what I did. I want you to like have an image seared into your mind and remember it. So that's why I take the approach that I do. And I totally respect like the longer form, telling a broader story approach. And I don't think I'm even capable of that because I don't have enough photos. I don't have enough images that I like. That's what I'll say. I was going to say of a certain quality, but really that I like to do that. And just my approach, but that's why I do it.
Right. I would say one of my takeaways is your comment, Alex, about also looking at your body of work and, hey, if so-and-so that I highly respect looked at this, how would I feel about the curation I've done on it? And, I was thinking as you were talking, you mentioned Alistair. For me, it was like, my God, if William Neal loaded up my website and looked at my galleries, like, how would I feel about that? So I think that's a good perspective too, is I've looked at it in terms of, I'll send it, I've sent photos to you, Alex. I've sent photos to plenty of others for input on an ebook collection or what have you and whatnot. And again, as you said, it's not that you don't respect their input, but there is a difference between asking a friend to do it that is maybe not quite at the emotional critiquing level that knowing someone you really like, standing on the shoulders of giants, William Neal would be considered, in my opinion, certainly a giant. How would I feel if he was looking at it? And that's probably something worth keeping in the back of my mind. So I think that's one of the takeaways of what you mentioned that I'll try to keep with me.
It's like the little angel and devil on your shoulder.
Yep.
I feel like I've got Bill Neal on my shoulder all the time now because we've been able to work together for like 4 or 5 years now, and 4 years. And I feel like I can just ask myself, like, what would Bill do? Just not so that I do the same thing, but just like push me a little bit in the direction of like really tasteful and zen and like just all the things, the attributes that kind of define his work. I think about that at a time. I'm like, what would Bill do? What would Sarah do? What would they think of this? But also I'm not letting it completely guide me because I feel pretty confident in my own vision, at least the parts of it that are really strong. Yeah. Like the images that I feel are really strong. I don't really care even what they think because it's probably, we have different goals. We all have different goals. Right. Yeah. But yeah, it is really helpful just in general of like kind of deciding what sort of quality bar you want to set for yourself. Yeah.
Jeffrey, I'll put you on the spot. Do you have one takeaway that you would take from the conversation?
Yeah, no, I think the takeaway was that back to the whole tribe thing, I've always thought of it as you try to build a tribe by getting in front of as many people as you can, and then eventually you hit that magic, 1,000 number or whatever. But I think the concept of actually, if you are more diligent with your curation, build that work that's more memorable, that could actually be a path to finding those true fans almost faster and with less churn. And I thought that was just a sort of an interesting concept because it sort of goes against the concept of build big, huge funnels at the top and eventually at the bottom you'll get to that 1,000 versus maybe it's smaller, words like more
churn and hustle.
So, yeah, but that's
as it pertains to art, like I think that you should be trying to convey feelings and not gather a bunch of people who don't really care. And so I think that's the concept to take away from it, is that approach is an interesting one and something I really hadn't considered before.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up. I think it was a good conversation. So, Alex, thank you again for jumping on short sleep. And
I feel wonderful. Maybe I should get 3 hours of sleep every night. I'm just going to crash in 2 hours. Sleep in the middle of the day.
I can't do nights like that anymore. I just want to wake up. But anyways, thank you for coming on. This is great. And Jeffrey will reconvene next week with our next topic, so everybody be sure to tune back in. Of course, once again, if you enjoyed this discussion, you have some comments, thoughts, questions, whatever, hop over to our Patreon. At the very least, become a free member. You can participate in our community discussions. And, of course, if you want to support us financially, that would always be appreciated as well. Otherwise, until next time.
Send all hate mail to Michael and Jeffrey.
No, that's going to be Alex Noriega at whatever your address is. We'll put it in the show notes. Hate mail goes there. But anyways, thank you for watching and listening. And until next time, take care, everybody.
Later on, let's shut her down.
Let's shut her down.
Later.